Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho and John Carpenter's Halloween, two iconic horror films with an interconnected history and one major disagreement on philosophy, morality, and the mind. Can psychiatry, shrinks, explain all of our actions, or are there more powerful spiritual forces at play in our lives? Good and evil.
Pure evil.
Movies and most art are in conversation with each other. Just like Scream is in direct conversation with Psycho and Halloween,
Anthony Perkins' Psycho.
Halloween is a thematic response to Psycho.
He's gone. He's gone from here. The evil is gone.
Exhibit A, the ending of Psycho, 1960.
He tried to be his mother.
Norman Bates' killing spree has been brought to an end, and the killer, sporting women's clothes and the inner monologue of his own dead mother, who he murdered, is in custody. In a rather overdone explanatory sequence, the police meet with Dr. Fred Richman, a psychiatrist who comes up out of nowhere in the film to examine Norman Bates in search of a motive for the murders.
That is, from the mother half of Norman's mind, you have to go back 10 years, to the time when Norman murdered his mother and her lover.
I get why it was powerful at the time in 1960, but you watch this ending sequence and it kind of pours cold water on the whole movie. Not only does it do all the intellectual lifting for the audience,
Matricide is probably the most unbearable crime of all. Most unbearable to the son who commits it.
Richman's monologue also represents a view of psychopathic behavior that relies on every Freudian psychology trope in the book. Edible complex, castration anxiety, repression. Hitchcock's Psycho is a product of the world after Sigmund Freud, a world we're still living in scientifically. After Darwin, Marx, Nietzsche, the Nazis, and Stalin, the world was captured by the idea of the will to power and psychological repression as the root of all human evils. Except with Freud, all uses of evil must be in air quotes because evil implies an outside force, demons, Satan, dark energy. You can have things that are deemed bad societally, but to label something as evil is appealing to a supernaturalist worldview. Things Dr. Fred Richman can't explain in his overly confident monologue.
Norman Bates no longer exists. He only half existed to begin with.
Enter Exhibit B, Dr. Samuel Loomis of Halloween, 1978, the namesake of a character in Psycho. The serial killer Michael Myers gives us an avatar for senseless violence. And I say senseless because the whole purpose of Dr. Richman in Psycho is to make it make sense, even if it doesn't. As a child, Michael Myers stabs his sister to death after she has sex upstairs with a boyfriend, and Myers is committed to Smith's Grove Sanitarium in the care of one Dr. Loomis. When Michael escapes to begin his killing spree, Loomis does the unthinkable for a shrink, which is to go to law enforcement and tell them a demon is on the loose.
This isn't a man.
6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes. The devil's eyes.
It's the inversion of Psycho. You can go a layer deeper here by looking at the timing of these stories. Psycho comes into being at the birth of psychiatry, which Freud set the model for, and the beginning of the sexual revolution. Most of the Western world went through 2 decades of liberationist political change on everything from sexual norms to the nuclear family, and Carpenter's Halloween appears in the final years of this revolution and provides a demonic force punishing the town of Haddonfield, which is awash in all of these cultural changes, especially around sex. Loomis is presumably a Freudian psychiatrist, because almost all of them were, who had his worldview broken in the presence of Michael Myers. This is important because pure psychiatry cannot exist if spiritual conditions exist. There's a new book by Andrew Clavin called Kingdom of Cain, which lays out this cultural evolution beautifully. I highly recommend it. The most dominant philosophy of any given time shapes how the world is explained to us. Psycho and Alfred Hitchcock, as an estranged Catholic, is explaining the world through the lens of a post-Christian science-only worldview reliant on 3 men: Darwin, Marx, and Freud, all interconnected and building on top of one another's work. Clavin says in the book, Darwin told us where we came from, Marx told us where we're going, and Freud told us about human nature, or who we are. As a trio, their work is a modern substitute for religion. Darwin replaced Genesis, Marx replaced Revelation with utopianism and heaven on earth, and Freud replaced sin with guilt. After these men, the predominant worldview of the powerful and cultured was that we are flesh and blood and chemical reactions, not spiritual beings. And remember, Halloween hits the world at the exact same time as Star Wars, which was George Lucas sensing an exhaustion in the culture with atheism and proposing instead something that he thought young people needed.
I put the Force into the movies in order to try to awaken a certain kind of spirituality in young people.
He wanted to nudge the next generation towards genuine curiosity with spirituality and the invisible forces of the world, including good and evil. But at the end of the day, these are horror movies, and they are designed to invoke fear in the audience. So what's scarier, the Psycho narrative for murder or the Halloween narrative? I was born in 1989, so I was raised on Scream and the crimes of Billy Loomis and Stu Macher.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
No, Billy!
At the end of that movie, Billy says something very important when asked for his motive.
Why did you kill my mother?
And he tells her this.
You hear that, Stu? I think she wants a motive. See, it's a lot scarier when there's no motive, Sid.
Think of Billy as a student of those horror movies we just talked about. He's a student of the discourse. He and Stu were trying to pick who they were in succession to the major fictionalized murderers and how their story would be psychoanalyzed one day. I think Billy wants Ghostface to be thought of as Michael Myers because he thinks it's scarier. There's no motive. But he's fibbing.
Your slut mother was fucking my father, and she's the reason my mom moved out and abandoned me.
He then starts performing the Freudian motive of being abandoned by his mother, so he kills the sexually promiscuous woman who caused it.
Your mother was no Sharon Stone.
And entraps her daughter too. But again, I think he's caught in his own storytelling power. Billy and Stu didn't just kill random women with messy sex lives. Their victim list is all over the place. I think Wes Craven understood this. It's not a plot hole. It's meta and intentionally confused. Because human beings, as a storytelling species, we do not accept life without narrative. Interestingly, the original script for Scream was very different on the issue of Billy's motive. The final cut of the movie presents the killers as sort of violent misogynists, but the original script stated explicitly that Sidney's mother groomed young boys in town for sex and practically raped Billy and Stu. So Wes Craven's original script was sort of about toxic femininity triggering male psychopathy. And here, we are right back in Freud's world of psychoanalysis that spawned Psycho. What do you think? Who was on to the truth of human darkness? Dr. Sam Loomis of Halloween or Dr. Fred Richman? Thanks for watching Geeky Stoics.